I will be, this is Corey. Go to CoreyRyanForster.com because I will be in Lexington, Kentucky and Charlottesville, Virginia, August 14th and 15th. And if those shows sell out, I'm getting a tattoo of Robert E. Lee sucking off Colonel Sanders. Also, sorry, Bane's counting in the background watching his videos. So, CoreyRyanForster.com. WeLoveCorey.com is where you can find all my bonus stuff, like my new podcast, Public Domain Sleepy Time Theater, where I read you a bedtime story. Right now we're doing, thank you, Bane. Right now we're doing The Adventures of Tom Sawyer by Mark Twain. So, okay, enjoy the show. It was weird because I had to leave halfway through, but it was still really good. I enjoyed it. Love y'all.
They're the liberal rednecks. They like cornbread and butt sex. They care way too much but don't give a fuck. They're the liberal rednecks that makes some people upset, but they got 3 big old dicks that you can suck.
Hey, buddy.
Hello, Corey.
What are you What are you doing?
I've been working. What are you
Yeah,
doing?
you're be in Birmingham, aren't you? I saw your promo, which means it's working. It got on my algorithm.
Thursday. I'll be in Birmingham Thursday. This comes out on Wednesday.
Yes, sir.
Tomorrow I'll be in Birmingham, Alabama at Avondale Brewing Company.
Yeah.
Which is that big spot in Birmingham. I'm doing the room upstairs, which is little. They got a backdoor spot that like ICP played. I think this is the second time in my career I've shared a venue with ICP.
Yeah, in Michigan, right? We did a theater that like ICP had just been there, and the reason we found it out is because we were like going through the basement on way to our green room, and there were just cases and cases of Faygo. And one of us made the joke like, what the fuck? Was ICP just here? And they were like, yeah, actually, they were here.
Yeah, they were like, it was some other band, but ICP came and everybody thought they would. So it sold out, and then they did. So, like, it was a band, and then ICP came out for 2 songs, sold out a theater.
But had to have cases and cases of Faygo.
Yeah, I mean, just in cases, I think they call those.
Is there, it's funny, I actually was wanting to talk about brands and branding a little bit simply because I am currently, our buddy Joel, friend of the show, sent me the Playboy that was issued the month and year that I was born as a birthday present last year, which is cool. Brigitte Nielsen's on the front. And when you read an old Playboy magazine, like you just be seeing like, bruh, Benson and Hedges cigarettes. The fuck are you talking? What do you mean, Benson and Hedges cigarettes? Like there was just cigarette companies. There was millions of them, and you've never heard of them anymore because I guess they made it where you can't ever.
Maybe it was a good ending.
Probably. But with Faygo, has there ever been a better example of like? Because dude, if ICP turned on Faygo, they don't exist anymore, right?
I think ICP ended up buying a pretty large percentage of it. But to your point, I'm not going to say it wouldn't exist, but like, yeah, it's you and I know what it is because of them.
That's the only reason. Like, I'm sure I saw it as a kid, but the reason it's in my brain now is because of ICP.
I'm not sure you did. Do you know Elate, L8?
Yeah. Yeah, the green bottle with the red letters.
Mostly in Kentucky.
Yeah, and Cracker Barrels.
So I feel like that's what was up with Faygo. It was just mostly in that part of the world. And then at some point, there's going to come a time where either Cracker Barrel or the Insane Clown Posse has to lift you up, or you will go by the wayside in a world that's ever flattening because of globalism.
That's the horseshoe politics of my personal life. Is like the further you go, Cracker Barrel, you end up
back at ICP.
You end up back at ICP. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And by the way, both companies, I genuinely respect their values and product, even though I don't go there all the time. You know, I'm a big fan of what ICP seems to like, you know, there's that one song we've all heard a billion times because that line, magnets, what even the fuck are those, is funny. But like, it's really wild that group of guys, I've never heard a negative thing said about them. No allegations, no nothing.
Well, that's interesting because they famously were accused by the FBI of being the heads of a gang.
Okay, well, the FBI don't count in what you know what I mean?
Never agreed with you more.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not a lot of like, I mean, you know, I think if you look into it, there's some Well, look, if you throw a party every year where there are people openly doing crack on camera and having wet T-shirt contests and fucking by the fence, there's this pretty infamous video of Jellyroll watching two people fuck, which is so funny that he's on American Idol now.
Jellyroll is?
Yeah, he's like they cut away to him and he's like, fat by the pool or whatever. And he's like there with some woman and she's like, "You're my hero. I also used to do heroin." It's very interesting how they've distilled him. And I don't blame the J-Man, but it is very interesting how they've distilled him down to a palatable drink for America.
Yeah.
And he's seemingly okay with it. Like he's clearly self-aware and had control of his career. But, it's just like you think about that guy being in prison for selling drugs. And again, great that he's not doing that. But now he's standing there by like some former Broadway star whose name I forget. You'd recognize him probably because he's got hits too.
Right.
I had to ask Annie, who is he with? And she told me, I don't remember his name. He's a pop singer who also used to be on Broadway.
Yeah.
I mean, the dude's in like literally the other guy's in a knit sweater.
Right. Maybe this is too sad, but like it really, like the whole Jellyroll story, all these news outlets and like, publicists and stuff, they frame it as like, see, like even someone who was in jail can turn their life around. And it's like, it's true that Jellyroll did, but like the message to me is like, you too, as a felon, can turn your life around if you were a complete outlier and dominate a musical industry. Because like this, you say like, oh, Jellyroll seems cool with it. I would be too, because like he probably knows more than anybody. Man, the only way I'm going to be accepted as a felon is to go this route. Because other than that, what am I supposed to do? Fucking, sweep?
Well, he was already singing, I think. The shift for me was he went from rapping about slinging drugs to singing about how he used to be broken. And those aren't mutually, I'm not trying to pretend like he's lying. It seems that his perspective has shifted. And now he, needs the Lord or a woman to believe in him or whatever. And like I said, it's very palatable. I mean, it's where country music is at. That's considered edgy in country music.
Right.
But even that, going on American Idol, or maybe it's The Voice, I think it's American Idol, is wild.
Yeah, no, it is. And also, like, we've known of Jellyroll for a little while because of Paige, but, like, it's still one of the more meteoric rises I've seen in a long time, because it's like he went from a couple people know him to all of a sudden, bam, he's here. Now he's on American Idol. Like, it happened really quick. And we know people that are around him. Matter of fact, we were able to use some of his film crew to do our specials. And by all accounts, he's a great dude, and I got no reason to think otherwise. But interestingly enough, like, he's in the country music space, which I think is like, country music has just become where they just put anything that doesn't fit into another genre and has any type of accent on it. But like the stuff that he's doing, like being a felon who has redeemed himself, like there is a lot of that in old country music. I mean, that's Merle Haggard, that's Johnny Cash, that's Johnny Paycheck. So like, I feel like his essence is very country. He's white trash. He used to be in prison. Now he's making right. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And he started out doing black music. It's all there.
Yeah.
It's all there. It just is interesting. I have friends who, I'm not gonna say they hate Jellyroll, but they hate that he's on their timeline. To them, it's like indicative of what they do. You know what I mean? And that's what they do.
Right.
They take a man who had something on his heart, and then, it's like we've gotten past the notion of selling out. It's like we're all kind of like, look, man, as long as you don't like sing for Hitler, as long as you don't literally turn your back on your people.
Right.
Everyone's goal is to make it. But now there's this thing, and I have a little bit of this in me of like, yeah, he didn't sell out, but damn, look what they did to my boy.
Right. But like, at least if the only way to make it is to sell out, at least he's sold out for like positivity instead of selling out like the Kid Rocks of the world did.
I guess that's what I'm saying is like, I could easily shape this as a sellout if you wanted me to.
For sure.
I'm saying it does seem like he is buying what himself is selling to some extent.
Sure. Yeah, I think you'd have to.
I think for most people, the quote-unquote sellout is more like, dude, this guy has this life story. and now he's on American Idol, but that life story itself has become polished
Yeah.
and branded, and it's like I saw him on a viral video the other day where someone gave some homeless person a bunch of money and then introduced him to Jellyroll. It's like in that content space world of like, hey, we're going to give this homeless guy $5,000 and see what happens.
I can't stand that shit. I mean,
So
good for the
it's
homeless
now-
guy for getting $5,000 for the record, but
So now they've added to that, I guess. We're going to do that and take them to the WNBA or the NBA All-Star Weekend. I saw one like that. We're going to do that, and they're going to meet Jellyroll at this Jellyroll concert. I do feel like there are people who are, and they have maybe not a legitimate gripe or point, but one that I'll listen to where they're like, if he was as homeless and down his luck as he says,
why he give a fuck about Jellyroll? You know?
no, why, if Jellyroll was,
Oh, right.
why are you making content out of this person's life?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just give
It's-
them the money. You
it's
got it.
Right. It's exploitative
But
for sure.
But
Like,
at the same time, I keep meeting people. He's constantly at Zany's.
yeah.
Well, I did a show. I did a private show a few weekends ago. This guy's house. There were like 40 people there. They paid me very well. He had this bottle of Jellyroll liquor, and it had an autograph on it. And he's like, "Oh yeah, I met him." And his story was like, we didn't know if we knew one of his managers. They said, "You want to go meet him?" We were like, "Sure." We don't want to get in his way. Then he just talked to us for an hour.
Yeah.
Finally, he was like, "Guys, I gotta go." We were like, "Yeah, of course." Like,
Yeah.
so anyway, my point is every story is positive.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and he's just,
But I think it feels hollow to some people.
I get it. I get it.
Just change the channel.
That's what I don't understand is like I constantly see people that'll be like, why are they forcing this down my throat? Why are they? And I'm like, first off, who is they? And secondly, why you got your mouth open? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
just like, dude, I mean, I follow a lot of people. I see a lot of shit online that I don't like. And if I don't like it to a certain degree, the easiest thing is to scroll past it. But like, I've muted words on Twitter because like, oh, I'm tired of I'm tired of reading about this story. Mute it. Like, that's just how the world is. Like, Jellyroll's very popular, and are there people trying to quote unquote shove him down your throat? No, that's just called he has a really good publicist and he's popular and he is a big draw, so he puts eyeballs on stuff, and that's just how that works. But like in my brain, he's done nothing wrong, so like just fucking change the channel, dog.
I do think there's like a not gray area. There's a space where you find yourself going, no, I understand that because he has a good PR person. That's why he's on every channel.
Right.
Am I not allowed to be annoyed that it's the same fucking story?
Of course you are.
On every channel.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
Of course.
Damn, I wish we had a new redemption arc. Wait, you guys finally found the rapper who got sober and started taking care of his kid? Or did you finally find a white rapper?
White one, right.
That? Now, is it Jellyroll's fault? No.
Hell no. No.
Such a funny saying. Is it Jellyroll's fault?
Is it Jellyroll's fault? Here's my thing, though. Like,
structural racism. Do we blame Jellyroll?
Hey, call Jellyroll. What does Jellyroll think? I think my thing on it is, like, back in the day when there was only 3 channels and then 10 channels and 12 channels, sure, you're allowed to be mad if the same thing is on all of them. But right now, son, I couldn't possibly, if I started right now and tried to listen to every single podcast ever made about Al Capone, I'd have to listen continuously until I was 90 years old. You just go find some other shit. Like, we got so many options, you don't have to take what the mainstream's giving you, you know?
Well, the backlash is coming because that's what happens. It's currently happening to Pedro Pascal, and I think that's interesting in the context of this conversation. It's not that weird because a lot of people, and they've convinced me, think that this is a concerted effort by someone trying to smear him.
Because of trans.
That's one of the theories. The other theory is sort of Palestine, but he hasn't really been that vocal on it. So some of the people on that side were like, nah, if they's going to smear somebody, it wouldn't be this fucking guy. He ain't been loud enough. But it is just very interesting to think about anyone doing that. I think there's a resentment in this country right now. We're all terminally online, most of us. It feels hard to not be if you want to be engaged with the world, know what anyone's doing. I have no idea how else to let people know I tour. If you don't listen to this podcast or you're not on your phone, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Right. So that being said, there is a growing just general resentment in this country, I think, of anyone pulling the strings, period. It is like sort of frustrating to find out like, oh, that gal's dad was this dude at this company and that got her playtime on the radio. It's like, it's almost just like, fuck, man. Like the American dream, maybe it never existed, was like, you just had to have talent.
Yeah.
And it's so clear. I think what people are resenting is now we're understanding that it's not just that.
For sure. And like that whole idea of the American dream, and like, you know, there's people that are broke, that are the idea that like if you're broke it just means you don't work hard is insane, because like I'd say most coal miners are broke and nobody works harder than them motherfuckers, right? And so they're like, well, there's nothing you can do that where you can't work yourself out of it for the American dream. And they'll show these, you know, people who's like, they did this and this and this and this, they worked on this for 40 years and they finally got their break. That's the American dream. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but like you can't pitch me something as a dream where you have to almost kill yourself and it might happen. That's not a dream. You know what I mean?
It's like redemption porn.
Yeah.
It reminds me of like when the news is like, heartwarming story, you know, little boy dying of cancer, parents went bankrupt, the community raised $400,000 when a B-grade celebrity tweeted this. And it's like, literally everything in that story was a nightmare until the luck at the end.
Right.
If that's the American dream, throw it out.
Yeah, dude.
There's shorthand for it on the internet that I just came across the other day, and I can't remember what it is. I think it's orphan fire.
Okay, yeah.
I think it's then the joke or whatever is 15 orphans died in a fire last week. We've raised money to build them a new, you know what I mean? It's something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't.
I get what you're saying, where it's like, obviously, I am very thrilled because we live in hell. I'm very thrilled that community came together, and that's sweet. And nobody in that community should be held at fault of what the American imperial system is. But it's like, yeah, how can you be someone who reads that story as a insanely conservative capitalist and go, yep, everything's working great. This is exactly what should happen. When someone gets cancer, the entire community should raise $400,000. That's exact, because there are some people that they're like, you know, they'll go, as soon as a liberal's like, you know, Jesus wanted to give his money to the poor, they'll be like, yeah, well, then you should go give your money to the poor. It's not on us as the government, it's individuals, and that's how it should be. And it's like, yeah, I hear you, but in a society, individuals are never going to do that shit. Like, for the most part, like, you can get the one kid for $400,000, but if that kid doesn't have if it's just a homeless guy, no one's raising money for his ass. And like another thing too, all these with the libertarians thinking like we're going to privatize everything. It's like people aren't just going to build roads for no return out of the goodness of their heart. Like all these stories show is how fucked up. I mean, the bigger point somebody made, they're like, you literally couldn't even pitch the show Breaking Bad in any other country. It's the only country where that show works.
Right. Here it is. This is great. I knew I had to look it up because it's so much better than me butchering it. And it's to your point. Every heartwarming human interest story in America is like, he raised $20,000 to keep 200 orphans from being crushed in the orphan crushing machine.
Yeah.
And then no one ever asks why there's an orphan crushing machine or why you need to pay to prevent it from being used.
Yeah.
I think that redemption porn is a huge thing in America. It's the next wave of what I illuminated of like, hey, we did a GoFundMe to save this kid from cancer and bankruptcy. And it's like, why didn't we just save the kid and not bankrupt his family in the first place? No one's ever asking that. So I think in a new phase of it, and I think Jellyroll is an example of this, maybe, you know, through no fault of his own necessarily, but this is what it is. It's like, isn't this incredible? Someone to look up to. And it's like, why? And to his credit, Jellyroll has spoken to like Congress or whatever, but a lot of people think it didn't have enough teeth. A lot of people think he didn't really ask enough questions of like, why do we have this white trash killing machine out here?
I watched that
you're
thing.
lauding
I thought he
me
did
for
pretty good.
beating the white trash killing machine who kicked drugs and all that, and I was homeless, but like, why'd that happen?
Right.
And the only answer you can come up with that isn't systemic is it was Jellyroll's fault.
Right.
Well, then it's kind of hard to like reconcile that with this dude you're now telling me is a hero. I know people change. People don't change that much. He was a smart, talented, strong dude then.
Right.
Like,
I bet he was one of the best drug dealers in the whole fucking world, dude.
he wasn't a bad rapper either.
No.
We were talking about Jellyroll, constant feature and person alluded to on this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And just sort of, do you know, I'm sure you do, you're way more on Reddit than me, and this is a Reddit-y thing. Are you familiar with the orphan crushing machine?
Yes, it's like a dystopia, like capitalist dystopia type of situation.
Yeah,
where
it's
like
sort
when
of like
people are like they act like
GoFundMe's for cancer,
Right.
But the way they illuminated it was, we raised $20,000 to keep 200 orphans from being crushed by the orphan crushing machine, instead of just not using
having
the orphan crushing machine.
Yeah, it's like anytime people are like, they act like it's a feel good story because it's like this, this fucking single mom worked 18 hours straight at a Burger King all by herself because whatever else and look at that hustle mentality, pure hustle, that type of thing. I'm not sure that exactly is orphan crushing machine, but it's anytime people like jerk off the shitty parts of capitalism and act like it's like inspiring.
And I was trying to draw from that in this conversation we were having about Jellyroll, because he's teetering on an overexposure boomerang. I already see it with some of my more like leftists and fuck the world friends. He's on American Idol, for example, and that's good for him, but it is wild for me to like know where he came from, know what his background is. You know what I mean? But he has.
He's one of the new? He's like a full-time judge on American Idol now?
He's like they throw to the interview, and of course they have him do the gal who like used to be on heroin or whatever, and now you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, your story really resonated with me and my own," and he's got tears in his eyes. And there's some question of, is this bullshit? Is it fake? But even if it's real, I was saying to Corey, I think some of this Jellyroll fatigue is at least partially like redemption porn is big on the internet.
Okay, what redemption porn? What does that mean exactly?
Like, we just jack off to the fact that this dude used to be homeless and sell drugs, and now he's a successful musician, and that's great. He should be celebrated for all that. But going back to the orphan crushing machine, then you see him. I see him the other day on a piece of content where a guy had given a homeless person $4,000 or something. But not only that, you're going to the Jellyroll show tonight, and you're going to meet him. And there's nothing wrong with that. Cool. But it feels a little redemption porny to me. It feels a little like, hey, we got a fucking white trash guy with tattoos on his neck. You're a white trash guy with tattoos on your neck. We're about to make money off y'all. And it's sort of exploiting that instead of being like, hey, if someone as talented as Jellyroll can be homeless, what's that say about us? Like, it's good to laud him for what he overcame, but why are we not asking more structural? It just feels adjacent to the orphan crushing machine. In this case, it is the fat, talented singer crushing machine.
Sure, yeah.
He beat it, but damn.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's like anytime somebody comes from like that, like adversity, and I've never been homeless, but that's the reason I've always been like, why don't I get more shine? God damn it. But
yeah, dude. Why in redemption porn?
I'll be exploited like that. I'm glad to be exploited like that.
I think because you don't lean into it enough.
Yeah.
I think you don't lean into it enough, and I think the reason you don't lean into it much, maybe you've never thought about it. Probably because naturally you shy away from like wanting to be a victim,
mm-hmm.
and you lean into structural problems that probably did in some ways lead to you being there. People don't want to fucking hear that. They want redemption porn. I'm saying it's a little orphan crushing machine adjacent, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And I don't know. And I know you're not already on team Jellyroll.
I didn't blame
with
him.
this. Yeah, I'm about to say, because like he's just, he seems like a real sweetheart and stuff. So he's also got a wild artistic story too that is part of it, in my opinion. Because
part of the backlash, or just part of why he's so interesting, or both?
I meant the latter. I meant the interesting part. I mean, and maybe people don't even think. I feel like maybe a lot of people didn't even know that to begin with. So maybe that's not part of it. But to me, it's just wild because, again, I've said before, like when I was in college, we'd smoke weed in our apartment and watch like early YouTube clips of Jellyroll freestyling in a dorm room and stuff, because he was like a white trash rapper back then and he hit for us. And then, but like the idea that that guy 15 years later became, you know, one of the biggest
Idol, dude.
singers, like
American
singers
Idol.
specifically out there is just like, I mean, that's so for me, that was the main thing when he first popped. For me personally, that was like the coolest part. Oh, I didn't even know all the, you know, personal strife part of it until Paige, of course, huge Jellyroll fan, obviously from the rapping days.
My ass.
Yeah, from the rapping days, and she was the one who told me to watch that documentary that came out right when he was first getting big or whatever. I think it was on Hulu or whatever, and I watched that, and that's how I found out about all the like shit he had been through on top of it. But it definitely, obviously, endeared him further to me. But it's like, I feel like Eminem don't really, you know, well, Eminem just don't do nothing. Like he won't do shit. He don't do, and I mean, I respect it. Like he's been offered the lead in so many big Hollywood movies, but he tells them the only way I'll do it is if you shoot it entirely in Detroit. Like I refuse to leave Detroit, bring the whole production to Detroit. And when they're like, well, we can't do that. And he's like, well, then fuck you then. And then
that's awesome.
He's done that like a bunch. There's a bunch of like big movies. He was supposed to be Matt Damon in Elysium, that follow up to District 9. There's been a bunch of movies he was supposed to be the star of, but that was his condition. And, you know, and he stood on business.
Wild. That's so wild. Yeah, he's in a different category, and not to disparage Jellyroll, but he's in a totally different stratosphere. But I think it's sort of to my point is like part of Jellyroll's appeal is that backstory. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not suggesting that. I'm saying that. Honestly, it came up. I don't even remember how it came up, but I said to Corey that he was on American Idol. And he was like, what? And I go, I know. And it's kind of wild. And I think we're starting to get a little bit of that oversaturation boomerang where a lot of people are like, God damn, they got this dude on everything. Why? And it's because America loves a story like that, but they don't ever want, as long as that guy don't go too far, you know, and being like, and it's y'all's fucking fault, by the way.
Yeah, well, that definitely wouldn't hit for them. But also, just the oversaturation thing is just a real thing, period. People just, I don't care who you are, people get sick of anyone who's everywhere. Like, there's been a huge, like, online coordinated campaign against, like, Pedro Pascal recently, too. And
we talked about that. We talked about that briefly. Not enough. Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, that, I think, is one of these stupid culture war type things because he's, like, worn shirts on SNL that say protect trans kids and that type of stuff. He's got a trans sister. When Bella Ramsey
I fully believe it's a campaign against him. Like
right.
that someone's coordinating it.
Well, I think you're probably right because it does seem more politically motivated outside of just fuck this guy, he's everywhere. But he was universally acknowledged as both awesome, like talent wise, but also, you know, one of the best guys in Hollywood. Everybody loves Pedro and everything. And then now you start seeing a bunch of shit coming out of nowhere that seems so far to not be true, by the way. Like,
well, they just say he's creepy because look what he did to his co-star, and every time his co-star's like, "We do that all the time. I love him."
Right? Yeah, exactly.
And
so it seems to me
so
there's
funny,
nothing
it's so
there.
Funny to think about. That's what they think. You know, it's like, yeah, women don't let you do that, dog.
Right?
You think that makes him anyway? Let me ask you. Let me push you a little bit. I'm not saying I believe this Paige. I'm like hearing Paige, but. If you believe, as you said you do, that this is sort of a culture war concerted effort going on with Pedro, and I'm not suggesting it's a huge conspiracy. I just think if a few entities with money and, what am I trying to say, know-how, like Families First, these entities exist. They go after people. We know it's true. That's not a conspiracy. That's not like something that you have to tinfoil hat. There are political and cultural groups who do this kind of thing, usually politicians. But if we believe that there is this concerted effort to take Pedro down because of what he believes in, is it that much of a stretch to also believe they're at least somewhat behind people like Jellyroll who don't say stuff like that necessarily? Like, all right,
I think they definitely I think they definitely like support those people. Like, there's like people that like this morning. Katie was talking about Sydney Sweeney, right?
Yeah, dude, that one's wild.
It is wild. And Katie just talked. She just said like, because she was like, "You seen the American Eagle thing?" And I hadn't, or whatever. And she was like, "Yeah, people are mad," you know, because she was just like, because Sydney Sweeney's MAGA, and I was like, "Is she?" I was like, I knew that they like claimed her, and the whole time it was like because she's got big titties that makes her a
I think
conservative
it's her
icon.
dad or her mom.
Well,
She was a parent.
right. With her, it was literally like just her titties being big and kind of out was like anti-woke, like as if the left is, against titties or sex or fucking or any of that stuff.
We
But
let them corner the
also,
market on titties.
like they're the Christian conservative side in the first place. But anyways, like she was anti-woke because she's white, blonde with big tits, and that makes her automatically conservative, and that seems stupid. But then there were pictures of her family at gatherings, and they had on Blue Lives Matter shirts and shit like that. So it seems her family is MAGA, but she is publicly supported. She said she's pro-choice and supports gay LGBTQ stuff or whatever, but that's all she's ever said politically, so it's still kind of unknown. But like Katie just thinks she's a full-on MAGA person, and it's but like
did you see the campaign?
The American Eagle thing? No, I have not seen it.
So the campaign is, I have good genes,
Right?
and they were passed on to me from my family. So there's a lot of dog whistly shit. So some people are like, it's about her titties.
Right.
That's the joke. And other people are like, okay. And I'm not doing it justice. There's this guy who does videos, I'll send it to you later, who did a good job where he usually comes down pretty hard on things, one side or the other. And his whole video, he argues both sides in different outfits. And in this particular one, he goes, I think it'd be a cop-out not to come to a conclusion. And he cuts back to himself and he goes, sure, but it'd be a cop-out to come to one too if I really don't fucking know here. And he was basically saying, is this a series of mistakes from a tit joke and the fact that you're trying to sell blue jeans?
Yeah, right. That's what it's a blue jean
coincidence.
campaign, right? And the joke is she's genetically gifted, which is clearly evident to anyone. But it's like it's supposed to be a master race thing.
Well, after like the sixth time, you like you know what I mean? It's not like I'm telling you this is the umbrella. This isn't the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it was a master race thing. A lot of people in the comments did, but there's more than, it's not just that. It's not just like she has good genes. I don't remember them all because I didn't care that much, but because I didn't know we'd be talking about Jellyroll, Pedro Pascal, and the culture war of Hollywood. But there's like 6 points in the ads and commercials where you're like, yeah, that could be read a few different ways.
Well, they definitely.
My theory, genuinely, is American Eagle wins either way.
Yes.
Of course, weird. They want them talking about
I can't. This is I don't want to sound like a Hollywood douchebag. I mean, I said I was at an audition, but it's weird that this came up because I didn't actually get into it in the audition, but this is sort of tangential to it because it had me thinking about this earlier, but in the context of a whole different industry. But like where you said, oh, they win either way. It's all about like plausible deniability or whatever, where it's like,
and controversy.
They know what they're doing. In like courting controversy and also pandering to these specific people because hey, those people buy fucking merch, they spend money. So like pandering to them, courting controversy, but in a way that maintains some plausible deniability, so you can't prove that they're and they know. I think that they know all of that. That's I think that's all part of it.
100% agree. Pardon me for looking at my phone. I'm trying to find this dude. I thought I hit like. Maybe I didn't hit like. I agree with all that, and I think that probably did come up. At the same time, do I think that, a commercial where she says she has good genes is something and this is the best point the guy made, where he said something like, don't you feel like if we keep raising points about a commercial about someone having good genes who's clearly been blessed with genetics, that kind of makes the left look ridiculous in a broad sense, so that when we're trying to call out actual fascism, we're going to lose credibility with people who are just living their lives.
Mean, that's my general philosophy on a ton of those things.
That's where I stand. His own counter to himself that I found compelling, but not enough to change positions, was, sure, but isn't that how this sort of thing starts? I mean, are we not supposed to call out what we see? And then he lists, again, I can't remember the fucking examples. I wish I could. Am I not supposed to say that that's what that is? That at the very least, you're alluding to eugenics.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be honest. I kind of think we need to stop talking about genetics outside of like diseases in general. I get super tense. Anyone brings it up these days. Not just a white person. Anytime someone starts talking about genetic makeup, I'm like, I don't.
Yeah, it does suck though, because it's like there's a lot of real cool shit that could be done in the
Do
field.
you mean like medically?
Yeah, medically, yeah.
No, that's the one. Medically, I'm fine with it.
Right.
I'm saying like, don't start like if we're having a conversation about, and then I can see people call me a coward. Like, well, hey man, we're trying to figure out what's going on with humans. Shouldn't we discuss that?
Even medically, it's like genetics can be used to undo or prevent certain genetic diseases that are horrible and debilitating and stuff. And it's like, if you can get to a point where that is a thing, then absolutely deploy it. And that hits, and I don't know who could be opposed to that. But like, and then it's like, well, what about, other things that are like not as bad, but don't hit, my eyesight don't hit. It's like, it would have hit for me to have been born with perfect eyesight instead of having to wear glasses and shit my whole life. I've got contacts in right now for the record, but then, where's the line on where that stops being cool and you get into like Gattaca, you know what I mean? Or I don't know if you remember Gattaca, that movie's from fucking 30 years ago, but it's basically about that where you can like, people have already, it's like versions of it are here now with like designer babies essentially, where you can just like genetically preordain that a kid hits, but it's like, it is fucked up because that'll only be a rich people thing. And so then in the future, the rich people will be, it's Gattaca. It's Gattaca. They did that in that movie 30 years ago. But yeah.
They'll be genetically superior.
Yeah, but and so it's like they are betters already is how they conduct themselves. But in a world where they literally are superior to us, to regular people, like, then what fucking happens? So, where do you stop it? I don't know. It's just a bunch of wild shit.
Yeah, man.
In this world.
It is a bunch of wild shit. And to your point, well, I think you were kind of saying like, okay, I understand you're uncomfortable talking about it socially. How do you feel about medically? In this case, yeah, it all makes me queasy. Is that the right word?
Yeah. I think so.
I get queasy anytime someone starts talking about genetics, unless they're like, I'm a genetic researcher. Here's what we know about gluten allergies. Unless it's that specific, I get real tense because we've seen it used so many times as validation or good reasoning for evil, whether it be like a Hitler type thing or what you're talking about, where that's kind of funny too, because it is sort of rich people admitting they don't hit.
Right.
They're like, we actually aren't superior. We're ready to admit that now that we have a way to fix it.
Yep. This ain't got nothing. Sorry, I was checking with Corey to see, because obviously, if everyone listening is aware, Corey had issues. As soon as I showed up, it fucked Corey's whole shit up, and he just left and has been gone. But I was seeing what he was saying about what to do. I guess we just keep going. But I
keep going over the best. I don't think we have an ad read, so that helps.
Yeah, right. So
today's podcast is sponsored by Eugenics. This is Eugene, Oregon, named after that.
This was something that I wanted to. This was something that I wanted to bring up on the show this week anyway. So it has nothing to do with what we're talking about right now. But I thought it was interesting. Feels very European to me. Me and Katie watched a documentary last night. I don't know if you've seen any of those train wreck documentaries on Netflix. Netflix has a docu-series called Train Wreck, where each episode.
I saw Woodstock.
That's another one that we can circle back to if you want, because I haven't seen the Netflix one, but I've seen HBO also did a Woodstock 99 documentary. But they're all like an hour or less, and they're about train wrecks, things where shit went sideways. There's an episode about, and I remember this happening vaguely, but I'd forgotten it was in the Netherlands. I thought it was in America. I thought it was in like fucking Florida. But like in like 2012, a movie came out called Project X, which was kind of big at the time, but had no shelf life and people had forgotten it. But it was a like found footage movie of this crazy high school party, right? So it's like just a high school party movie, but it was, it was done like Blair Witch style, where it's like made to look like it's real. These are real kids and real, video footage and stuff. And that was in theaters, and it was like kind of a thing at that time. And then in the Netherlands, a 16-year-old girl's birthday party turned into a real life Project X, right? Where that like 100,000 people showed up, or like at least 300,000 people RSVP'd to the Facebook invite, and it, without a doubt, tens of thousands of people showed up to this house party in the Netherlands, and it turned into a full-bore riot, right? But
Oh, that's so wild and
But
interesting from an anthropological perspective.
But because what happened was it started as a joke. Oh, let's go to this girl's Myrta's birthday party. Her parents will be gone, whatever. And it's like, yeah, I don't even know her, but I'm going like on Facebook. This is during the Facebook era. And then someone called it Project X, like they gave it that name, Real Life Project X. And then that's when it like went viral and took off and everybody in the fucking Netherlands showed up. But we watched a documentary about that. And what I found out in that documentary that I did not know is that at least in the Netherlands and maybe throughout other countries in Europe, I'm not sure, there is a municipal position known as the night mayor. And he's the mayor of a community, but only for nighttime. So they have a day mayor and a night mayor. And the night mayor is in charge of like bars and nightlife and partying and hitting and stuff, right? He was like, yeah, the city council and the regular mayor, they go home at 5 and then I show up. That's when the night mayor comes on, gets on the clock. And I'd never heard of that.
I saw you send that, and then I was like, had to do something with Rozzy. I didn't get a chance, and then you guys moved on. But I have been kind of coming back to it, I feel like, every 20 minutes ever since.
Yeah, so but
it makes so much logical sense.
Right. Well, that's where this is going, because at first I was like laughing at him in the build up to what happened. The night mayor was interviewed for this documentary, and he was just saying the whole time, he was like, he was like, the regular mayor and the police chief and all these people were like, oh, but we can't let this happen. This cancel, call Facebook, tell them to take that down. Tell them it's off. Get on the news and say it's off. This isn't happening. We're going to close off the street. We're not going to do it. And the night mayor the whole time was like, he's like, I think we should build a stage, hire some bands, make this like, he was like, get some entertainment, turn this into a real thing. And I was like laughing at that at first, but then, I think the night mayor was right all along. Cause I think if they just listened to the night mayor, it would have just been just like a fun, like party type situation. But with the cops and everybody there just trying to, like, fuck you, get out of here from the moment it started, and those kids being like, fuck you, we don't want to, it escalated.
We won't leave till the night mayor says we have to.
Yeah, but it escalated to like again, a full scale riot. Like they were throwing bricks through windows and making Molotov cocktails and setting cars on fire and like that type of shit. And the night mayor was like, never would have happened if we just got a DJ. That's what he didn't literally say that, but that was, I'm
just over there smoking long Dutch cigarettes.
He looks like a night mayor too, the guy in the documentary.
Of course he does. You can't be the fucking night mayor if you ain't had the toe legit.
Yeah, right. But anyway,
not unless you got Elon to rig the election, the night election for you.
But yeah, I never heard of that concept.
You vote by which pill you take at a club one night. You go into the booth and snort one line or the other line. In all seriousness, I won't say friend of the pod. He's never been on here. Friend of WellRED, Scott. Why am my mind drawing a blank?
Miller?
No.
Did you just fart?
Nope. I'm just thinking.
Okay.
Owner of Press Pub.
Oh, Thompson? No.
Corey's texting Eason?
Yeah, no, he's a comic.
Scott and Bernadette.
Yeah, I hope Scott don't listen to this because
me too.
West. Is it West?
Yes. And I was going to say Lau because it's Wests and the Laus are the two biggest families in Oneida, Tennessee. And I was like, it's one of them Oneida names.
Lau? Like Lowell?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought at first I heard Lao.
No, Lowe, like low, but we say Lau.
Okay. At first I heard Laos, the Laos. Right. I was like, you got a fucking Cambodian family or
let's not
running shit in Oneida?
Let's not get into the weeds or the reeds as it would be in Cambodia. Scott, first of all, at first I thought, damn, Scott should be the night mayor in Knoxville. And then I thought, well, no, he shouldn't. He'd be the most corrupt night mayor of all time. It would just make stuff hit for him and his businesses. But what I was thinking was there's been so many times Scott does a really good job of sort of publicly putting Knoxville leadership to the rack because they're not doing what's right by the spaces his businesses occupy. Not just for him, but for everyone involved. And I was thinking the true reason why is they come at it from the perspective of day politicians. They're looking at Market Square and they're going, "We hear you, Scott. Rope it off. Let people have open containers only inside the square. We'd have cops at checkpoints. You couldn't leave the square with your open. We understand that that would make you a lot of money and make this thing hit. But what you got to understand is Christian. You know what I mean? Like, there's never actually any logical thing. And it's because, these day mayors are out here worried about these day walkers.
Right.
They need a night mayor who gets his own, like, hey, your rules till 8:30 p.m. And then the night mayor and the night board gets to decide.
Yeah.
Because we know what's going on at night.
Right.
And I honestly think it would go both ways. It wouldn't just be like the parties would hit harder. I also think issues like what to do with the homeless population and blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm saying it wouldn't just be like a party boy or a liberal's wet dream. I think it would also be like, hey, we're out here. We know what these folks are like. It's just like night police act different than day police because it's a different fucking city.
For sure.
Corey's trying to hit on text. I'm having nightmares about day mayors in the middle of the afternoon. I think that's a Randy Newman reference. I remembered Randy Newman's name and not my former boss and friend, Scott West. Ladies and gentlemen, Drew Morgan.
Corey also said that, so like I said, his stuff messed up when I got here, so he can't participate, but he said he's watching and, quote, screaming on the inside because of how R-worded internet people are about Sydney Sweeney's gorgeous fat tits. So that is an interesting perspective that no one can handle how hot she is. Right.
It makes them act weird about everything. I would argue the commercial's very weird. And then I would argue the response to it's been a little weird.
We saw her live. Was that just me, or were you guys with me? Did you guys?
Buddy, I think that was just you. I have either that or my brain couldn't.
Well, it was definitely. I'm almost certain it was Andrew that was there. That's why I'm assuming you guys were both there too. But like
Dorfman brothers?
No, Reich, Andrew Reich.
Oh yeah.
In Hollywood, like some place we were having lunch at. I'm pretty sure it was Andrew. It might not. It could be Val though. But in my head, it was Andrew who was like, "Hey, do you know who Sydney Sweeney is? This is when she first popped. So obviously, this was years ago. Like White Lotus season 1 was out. He was like, you know, the teen daughter from White Lotus. I was like, yeah. And he was like, that she's sitting right over there. That's her. And I looked, and she indeed was sitting right over there in the corner of that. I don't remember where we were, but.
And how was the band live? Did it hold up to the album?
Well, dude, look, at that time, I mean, I think when she was on White Lotus season 1, she was already an adult, right? She plays a high schooler on that show, though.
Sure.
Yeah. So, you know, look.
You didn't look. You didn't know if you were allowed.
I'm not saying I didn't.
You weren't sure who she was.
She was striking. That's the thing that people don't. If you haven't like seen celebrities and shit, and I know this is like insufferable, but it's fucking true though. Like. Not all of them. Sometimes you see one and you're like, oh, wow, they look like a regular person. And especially as they get older and shit and they don't have all their makeup on, then it's like different. But one in their prime like that, like,
yeah, dude.
It's pretty nuts when you see one of those people like live and in person. Because I've said before, you see people like, I remember when I saw Jimmy Fallon live in person years ago, I was like, he's way better looking than I ever realized he was. And it's like, so then when you see someone who's known for being good looking live and in person, it's like, it's pretty wild. And yes, she was like that. Trevor Noah, yes, he's another
unbelievably electric.
Electrically charismatic and good looking.
It's crazy because he's like this round faced goofball with a kind of funny accent to us, to our
yeah,
ear.
No, it's true. You get in the same room with some of those people sometimes, and you're like, oh, I get how you are you. Like I get how you know, like for Trevor Noah, he was unknown when they picked him to replace Jon Stewart, huge shoes to fill or whatever. And it's like if you go there live and see him in the room, you're like, I totally understand how you're the guy that got picked for this.
I made him break. I hate that this is my Mark Maron, Lauren Michaels moment, but I made him break and it hit for me when I auditioned for the day of the show. He broke his character, you know, I'm on screen interacting with you and had to laugh a lot. Well, we're almost to the end.
You got
I want to circle back on Pedro a little bit.
Oh, wait, hold on. What was okay, that's fine. We can do that if you want to. But we had Woodstock 99 came up earlier, and I was just The only thing I was going to say about that, I haven't seen the Netflix documentary yet. You said you have, so I don't know what your perspective on this is.
The HBO one.
But I watched the HBO one with Bryce, and the whole time, because the HBO one, they pretty much explicitly blame Limp Bizkit for that. And like the documentary,
maybe I saw the Netflix one then, because I didn't get that sense. I
the
definitely got the sense that they were the straw that broke the camel's back.
like you're right, the final straw, or the spark, the catalyst, or whatever. But in the HBO one, it's pretty explicit that they're like, Limp Bizkit should have known better. They shouldn't have done that. It was a tender box, and they go up there and just fucking smash that hard. What's wrong with it? That's what I was thinking the whole time. I was like, they did what they
literally
do.
Killed, dude.
Yeah,
they
right.
They
got up there, and they were huge, and they played their hits, and they played them. They just brought the fucking noise.
I don't know which one I saw, but there was a moment where they were basically expressing how they should have done that, and it cut to Durst riding a piece of plywood.
Yeah.
With the mic in his hand, not missing a single fucking lyric of a pretty fast song. And I was like, dude, far be it for me to sit here and try to tell anyone that Limp Bizkit's like the coolest rock band ever. I don't think that they compare to like some of the greats. I get that. But it's like, hey, you know what it reminded me of? That Cat Williams bit. You gonna blame the tiger?
Right, exactly.
You gonna blame the only real motherfucker in the whole goddamn scenario? The motherfucking from the jungle tiger?
That's how I always felt about that. Exactly. Yeah, just that. I was always like, you hired Limp Bizkit at the height of Limp Bizkit, and then they did Limp Bizkit shit. Like, that's not their fucking fault.
It's called Limp Bizkit. It literally means my dick won't get hard. My dick won't get hard really should have been more mature, guys.
Yeah, well, it's like there's another famous story about Rage Against the Machine went on some show. What's it called? Top of the Pops. That might not be it, but it's like a famous UK live music show that's been running for 50 years. I think that's the one they went on, but I'm not sure. But Rage Against the Machine went on there, and they told them, "Oh, we're glad to have you, whatever, but you can't play Killing in the Name of that song. Like, you can play whatever you want, just don't play that song." And that's the song that includes the line, "Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me." Right? Yeah. So guess what happened? They played that fucking song, and it's right. And it's like, what did you expect? Like, I don't know.
Cut to some British dude, the only one there with decent teeth. It's a little on me, I guess. Really, that was my fault. Should have saw that coming.
But no, Pedro, anyway, yeah.
No, I mean, I think we covered it. Also, I want to make this point or talk about this. There is something. I don't want to say refreshing, but I do. Honestly, it's Trump's secret. Not to make it everything about Trump, but it is Trump's secret. And I've said this on here before. It is borderline refreshing to have someone, and this is like why part of his appeal, to have someone like be them. The reason that UK Pops or whatever thought they could tell that band called Rage Against the Machine not to Rage Against the Machine is they assumed that was just a name that someone picked because they thought it would be commercially viable.
Yeah, right. That's
the
just their gimmick or whatever.
Of heart and soul and art that they're used to.
Right.
You know what I mean? And not to take it back, sorry, Paige, I think that's why some people are like turning their nose up at Jellyroll right now. They're just a little bit like, hey, man, if you got off the drugs and overcome the homelessness and all that, and then you went in front of Congress, that was cool what you said, but, why didn't you choke somebody? And I'm not saying he should have. I'm not saying he shouldn't be on American Idol. I just feel like there's something refreshing about Rage Against the Machine, actually raging against the machine.
Oh, yeah. No, they had the toe legit. And still they are the victims of people not understanding, I mean, it's been brought up a million times, but people, all these conservative politicians and stuff, are all these clips from MAGA rallies with them rocking out to Rage Against the Machine, or when like Tom Morello will say some socialist shit because he's a socialist, and somebody be in the comments like, why don't you stick to raging against the machines, or whatever. Leave the politics to other people.
About murdering cops in the street.
Right. Like, they're the most egregious example. They're so dumb.
Well, and you know what? To be fair, maybe that's really what's going on. His name is Jellyroll. I mean, the fact that he's sweet and wants everybody to like him, people who are like, God damn, I wish this dude would, it's like, what? Be sweet and have everybody like him? I think he's kind of been trying to do that the whole time.
Yeah, but it's like, I wrote the last script I wrote a movie script that I had people read. And I got some like meetings and stuff off of it. And it's like, just put simply, the movie is about a group of like young alpha male, like manosphere type dudes who start their own little club trying to be like a Proud Boy type situation. They obviously, the whole thing is making fun of them and how stupid they are, and they're fuck ups and they're pathetic. And, but they're the protagonist of the movie. And it's like, I basically, no one's ever seen this movie, but there's a British movie called Four Lions, which is a comedy about a terrorist cell in London, like a jihadist terrorist cell. And it's like that, but with alpha male douchebags. And in my head, I was like, there's no way anyone could ever misinterpret this as being like pro those dudes or whatever, you know what I mean? Like totally missing the satire of it. Like there's no way, not possible. But that did happen. It only happened one time. But one of the like producer executive dudes or whatever who read it, when I talked to him about it, I was like, oh my God. Like he 100% thought that it was just a like he was, you know, he's like, yeah, fucking Ben Shapiro's company should make this or something like that, you know, because it's just like,
you're just like, okay, well, if anyone there's as dumb as you, then
and I was just, I couldn't fucking believe it. Because that made me worried then too, that even in a world where it did get made, which, you know, astronomically unlikely, but the idea that if it did get made, that there would be a bunch of people who didn't get it, that there would be people who were like, young alpha male douchebags, I don't want incel motherfuckers I don't want nothing to do with, who loved it and totally missed the point or whatever, and like how much that would suck if that
would
happened.
It would definitely happen. I think what would happen more than that is a more, I guess, nuanced or centrist approach of like, I assume that they're going to either learn something or lose in the end. They're either going to change or lose.
Yeah, they lose.
So badly. I think there'd be a lot of people of like, yeah, man, you know, boys will be boys. Like, because the end of the movie didn't, do you know what I'm saying? I think sometimes people observe art in like a real macro sense. And if like the bad guy learned his lesson, then as long as he learned his lesson or died, then they're like start to empathize with him, you know? And then when you do that, you can take away the wrong point.
Yeah. Well, people love to take away the wrong point. But anyway, Joe, if you're still back there listening, I guess we'll go ahead and wrap her up now. And I'll say I'm actually off this weekend, so that's cool. But next weekend I'm in Indianapolis, then Austin, then St. Louis. And then after that, a whole bunch of stuff. Almost every city in Ohio in September, and then upstate New York and Connecticut and a bunch of other places in the near future. Go to TreyCrowder.com and check those out and come see me, please.
I'll be in Birmingham, Alabama, Thursday. That's tomorrow when this comes out, July 31st. I'm heading to Denver in the middle of August. It's just a bunch of house shows that I'm doing the wedding, but I figured I'd let you guys know. I'll be at the Comedy Lounge. I think that's the 15th and 16th. I am closing the show out, but it's like a 20-minute set, I think, maybe 25. And then I will be headlining the Comedy Catch in Chattanooga, September, we'll say 5th and 6th. I'm 99% sure that's the weekend.
Hits. All right. Well, that's it. Do Corey's stuff. Corey, I'm not sure what his website is right now. I know we love Corey. We love Corey writing for us at.
I think it's we love it when Corey changes the name of the website.
I will be. This is Corey. Go to CoreyRyanForster.com because I will be in Lexington, Kentucky, and Charlottesville, Virginia, August 14th and 15th. And if those shows sell out, I'm getting a tattoo of Robert E. Lee sucking off Colonel Sanders. Also, sorry, Bane's counting in the background watching his videos. So, CoreyRyanForster.com. WeLoveCorey.com is where you can find all my bonus stuff, like my new podcast, Public Domain Sleepy Time Theater, where I read you a bedtime story. Right now we're doing, thank you, Bane. Right now we're doing The Adventures of Tom Sawyer by Mark Twain. So, okay, enjoy the show. It was weird because I had to leave halfway through, but it was still really good. I enjoyed it. Love y'all.
Putting on airs. gon' talk a lot. Dress real fancy, sit in our chairs, sip on our tea, putting on airs. We collected from our love of Downton Abbey. We collected, we found out we're both so fancy. Hey, what's the difference between rednecks and royal families? Only money, cause they both have sex with family. Ew. Putting on airs. What other rednecks to talk about foreign affairs? Laughing so hard that we end up falling out our chairs. Sir Trey, Sir Corey, oh what a pair. High class topics with a redneck flair. Oh yeah. Two rednecks but we're still fancy, putting on airs. We might not know much about history, we don't care. We gon' get drunk and we talk about yachts. We gon' get drunk and we gon' talk a lot. Dress real fancy, sit in our chairs, sip on our tea, putting on airs. Two rednecks but we're still fancy, putting on airs. We might not know much about history, we don't care. We gon' get drunk and we talk about yachts. We gon' get drunk and we gon' talk a lot. Dress real fancy, sit in our chairs, sip on our tea, putting on airs. Okay, it's Team Squirrel or Team Trey. Oh yeah, we keeping it basic. He thinks that the squirrels at Corey's mom's house are racist. And you know squirrels live in the same place for generations. So Trey, you better count your days and you better count your blessings. Cause all the squirrels that you ran over, that you think are nameless, faceless, their families are getting together and plotting on you from the attic and basement. So even though Corey is dumb, fat, and bald, he knows how to avoid drama, don't get squirrels involved. Two rednecks, but we're still fancy, putting on airs. We might not know much about history, we don't care. We gon' get drunk and we talk about yachts. We gon' get drunk and we gon' talk a lot. Dress real fancy, sit in our chairs, sip on our tea, putting on airs. Two rednecks, but we're still fancy, putting on airs. We might not know much about history, we don't care. We gon' get drunk and we talk about yachts. We gon' get drunk and we gon' talk a lot. Dress real fancy, sit in our chairs, sip on our tea, putting on airs.